Are you filled with fear, doubt, worry about the future of our country? Do you feel the urgency to act before it's too late? If yes, then this podcast is for you. It's time for us to confront the critical issues threatening our nation's fabric, our democracy itself, regardless of our political stance. If you are ready to face reality, handle the tough questions, and find real solutions, then here's your host, Debilyn Molineaux.
Welcome to the Terrified Nation podcast. I'm your host, Debilyn Molineaux. Today we start season 3. And on the Terrified Nation podcast, we explore alternatives to being afraid for our future. And I'll offer new perspectives and framing about what's really going on. Together, we'll learn how to manage our fear, our anger or rage, and we'll learn where to find hope in a world that seems upside down. Because it's up to us, the citizens of this great, flawed, beautiful, and too often ugly nation, to advance the promise of the founders for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for each American. And to make it so, we must dedicate a portion of our lives to improving ourselves, our communities, and ultimately our nation. Everyone's efforts matter. Now, I like to start each show with a question that we'll explore together. And today's question is, what stories about the future are you paying attention to? And how might that influence your actions? It is soul-filling for me when a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens meet to change the world. We have a human need to wonder and imagine a way forward together. So in December of 2024, I attended several gatherings that filled my soul with this camaraderie, these shared dreams, and a sense of purpose. We all have the belief that we can make a difference for ourselves and for others, most importantly for our nation. Now, beyond the synchronicity and similar visions, I felt deeply connected as we feasted on our hopes about the future. And out of these meetings has emerged for me some personal clarity from the confusion of endless choices about what to do next. I'm going to share those with you today. So back in October of 2024, I recorded a podcast on what I was on fire about, asking some big questions. And I invited conversations with others to explore and discover who else is working on the same questions or similar big questions. Out of the 7 questions that I have been pondering, 3 have developed into streams of work with a lot of clarity, to which I will dedicate myself for the next few years, likely through 2027. The first is disrupting the business of breaking us apart. And briefly, those colleagues that I have that have been working to bridge differences have been fighting this losing battle to conflict profiteers who keep our attention by using fear and outrage, or sometimes annoyance, with little effort on their part. They have flooded the zone with shit. And what pushback has happened is really not making a difference. Now, for my colleagues who champion working across differences, this task of bridging takes even more skills than most people have learned. Skills like active or deep listening, and self-reflection with an honest assessment regarding our intentions. How many times do we wait for someone to stop talking so we can inject our opinion? Or worse yet, how often do we interrupt them to make a point? This lack of bridging skills makes all of us prime targets for conflict profiteers. It is no wonder that conflict profiteers who feed their audience information that they already believe have it so easy. It's almost like we brainwash ourselves so that we don't have to deal with uncomfortable ideas. So in asking my big questions, I started some research about what work is being done to disrupt this very profitable business model of breaking us apart. And I cannot find anyone attempting to disrupt the business model upon which conflict profiteers exist. I found many organizations who are reacting to the effect of false, misleading, and inflammatory information. But outside of civil lawsuits, no one is attempting to change the incentives. So this work is really deep, and I am looking for partners. Disrupting conflict profiteers will begin with like a systems or landscape analysis of the change areas and then existing or adjacent work. Next will be a plan to enact that work that will take several decades. Think about how long it has taken to change the tobacco industry and hold them accountable. They now have to fund treatment and prevention that their very profitable business model caused at the expense of our loved ones. And it actually may have helped break the healthcare system. Or consider our current struggle around petrochemicals and fossil fuels. Between the gasoline in our cars and the pesticides on our foods, we are slowly poisoning the ecosystem in which we exist. And instead of changing industry incentives to promote healthy environment, the industry has doubled down and is one of the major contributors to political campaigns. And then the energy industry itself continues to feed us stories about how good they are. And then we, the citizens, feel trapped in the existing system where people have jobs, they have stock gains in the stock market, and they have the convenience of not changing their behavior. So we just kick that can down the road for another day. Both of these systems, big tobacco and the petrochemical industry, are toxic to people and to our environment, and yet we, the people, continue to use them, to use these industries to our detriment. It's a form of addiction. And conflict profiteers have created a similar industry that negatively impacts our civic health through manipulating our emotions and our, I already believe that, as if it's comfort food. So, what could possibly impact ever so softly our desire to be comfortable with what we know? Well, this leads to my second stream of work, and that's continuing the work of American Future as a personal visioning tool that can be used as a foundation for community building. Now, in this stream of work, I'll identify partners working inside communities already. They are already building on a shared future that's critical for our eventual success. Now, most community building starts thinking at the community or neighborhood level, identifying outside changes of things, of people's like wish lists of things they want in their neighborhood or their community. What the American Future Tool does is it focuses the attention first here on us creating a desire, a future that we want for our own lives. And then we look to the community and say, what does that community that supports my future need to include or provide? It's a little bit of like starting at point 0 instead of starting at point 2. And because every community is an assembly of individuals, this missing element can easily be added using the American Future personal visioning tool and some active listening skills. You can even try it for yourself by going to americanfuture.us and clicking on Share Your Future Story. It's a button on the homepage. This links to the tool, and I really hope you'll start using the questions as like a conversation or journal prompts to start visioning the life you want for yourself. Now, my third stream of work involves participating, supporting, hosting colleagues who are also social entrepreneurs or influencers. And together, we're going to work outside the current system where support of time and resources has not been invested through grants or philanthropists. It is my belief that every one of us holds a piece to our future puzzle. And sometimes we need support in connecting our piece to the larger picture. This work stream aims to fill that need. At the time of this podcast, it's a fellowship approach. And as the American Future Fellows program emerges, I look forward to co-creating it with those who need it and the resource holders who might recognize the value that's offered. In time, this work will also create a resource library for people who are working on the frontiers of civil society. We all know that something is dying. We need to go off into the frontier to see what's next. This group of fellows are going to act as scouts who will help map and trailblaze a path to the brighter future for all of us. And I'd like to end this podcast, this first podcast of season 3, with an invitation for you. Think about your future life right now, like what comes to the top of your mind. It's likely to be a happy picture, right? So think about where you are, and this is your happy place. The invitation is to spend 5 minutes every day sitting in your happy place and feel how wonderful your future is. Feel the awe and wonder that you have what you need. If we all do this for 5 minutes every day, the rough and tumble of daily life would decrease for everyone. This is based on neuroscience research that shows we will subconsciously create that which we focus on. So what are you focusing on? We have a choice. We can co-create the future we want, or we can continue to focus on the dystopian options that are presented to us by the conflict profiteers. If you would like to participate and share your preferred future life into a national database, please go to americanfuture.us and again, click on the Share Your Future Story button. We'd love to have your responses as part of the whole. And in closing today's show, I really do want to thank you, the listeners of Terrified Nation, for giving a damn about our nation. We may be a terrified nation today, but we can do better. We can save the USA. Join me next time.
So that's it for today's episode of Terrified Nation. Head on over to iTunes or wherever you listen to subscribe to the show. You can get advance notice of new episodes and bonus content by signing up. Head over to terrifiednation.com and join us on the next episode.